What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So the other day, it appears that a new gaming system has leaked out a bit early. This one from Qualcomm and Razer, and it has some very interesting features attached to it. We'll go over all of that here today. Also, we're going to be talking about the new PlayStation Plus games that were announced for December and how one of them is just a very strange announcement. And we're also going to be talking about a brand new GameCube controller that actually looks really cool. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with a couple of new updates, that for the Switch and the PlayStation 5. These being system updates, and get ready for it, it's all system stability. We can see this over on Twitter from Oatmeal Dome, also pointing out a few other small changes as they do like to look through the patches themselves through data mining, saying that version 13.2.0 is out. Official patch notes state stability, the NIM component responsible for communicating with end servers, among other things, and the overlay applet shows notifications in the top left were updated, probably just bug fixes. And if we go over on the PlayStation 5, they have a page set up for all the software updates they've released. We can see version 21.02-04.50.00 rolls right off the tongue. This system software update improves system performance. We've seen Digital Foundry do some comparisons between different releases of these updates for the PS5 and maybe an extra frame or two, nothing major there, just seemingly some bug fixes and stability heading into the holidays, I'm sure, when a lot of people are going to be unwrapping PlayStation 5 systems and Nintendo Switch. Also, I have good news for people who have been hoping to find out more about Digimon Survive, as it looks like we are actually coming up on its release here in the coming months. We can see this over on Twitter from Gamatsu, who spotted that the game was rated by the ESRB. They also note that it is rated for the Xbox Series. However, whenever we see Xbox One games get rated, generally the Xbox Series will be rated as well. They just seem to go ahead and drop a rating for both of those platforms. We'll see if we get any kind of Xbox Series native version or any of that when they're ready to talk more about this. But this is great news because, for example, 13 Sentinels was rated a little while ago for the ESRB on the Switch, and that's coming out in April. So the fact that we're seeing Digimon Survive here get rated leads me to believe that this game is going to come out in the first half of 2022. So yeah, we're probably a couple of months away from its eventual release. Great news for a game that appears to have had a very troubled development, remote work, everything that was going on with COVID really pushed this game back multiple times with delays. But the fact that we saw it rated in Australia weeks ago, and here we are now with an ESRB rating, makes me believe that we're going to get into 2022, most likely in January, and we're going to start hearing a whole lot about Digimon Survive along with that release date. Oh, and as we work towards the end of this month with holidays and Christmas, it's going to become increasingly harder and harder to find a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or a Switch OLED even. Well, I do recommend following Jake Randall over on Twitter, and he's keeping up to date on a large restock that could be happening anytime now over at Target. We can see this on Twitter from Jake saying the Target PS5 restock is happening between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern, one of the next 4 mornings. We don't know which day. Well, it wasn't yesterday or the day before, so it's either going to be this morning or tomorrow morning, that being on Friday. So make sure you follow Jake over on Twitter. He does go live, or at least he has past couple mornings, just in case Target just went live with their own PlayStation 5 systems. The fact that this is a large restock is great news because it'll probably give you your best shot at getting a PS5 leading into the holidays. And from what I've seen with some of these Target restocks, at times they might even have them available for pickup in stores. So definitely worth checking this out if you are scrambling right now trying to get a PlayStation 5 at MSRP and not paying like over $1,000 on eBay for one of these systems. But at the very least, make sure you check out Jake because he'll keep you up to date in real time even around these restocks. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a new gaming system that appears to have leaked out a bit early. Over the last couple of days, videocards.com was posting on their website with some slides that they had obtained, and we can see those here, saying Qualcomm and Razer developed a developer kit for next-gen mobile gaming. And there is a large list of different features that were put together after looking through these different slides that you're seeing here. And first off, let's just talk about how it looks, because in one screen it shows it, and I have to say, I looked at it, doesn't look great. It looks like something that would be functional, you know, like I guess you could say, okay, they put comfort over aesthetics, but Still, when you get into what this thing could potentially cost, it makes me believe they would want to go for more of a sleeker look than what we're seeing here. Kind of like an Xbox Series controller. They broke in half and put a screen in between with that nice glossy black plastic over the camera. But some of the features, it will be running Android, and it's going to have 120 hertz HDR OLED screen. Actually sounds like a pretty nice screen then. 6,000 milliamp hour battery. It will be using the brand new Snapdragon G3X silicone. That's a chipset that is set to debut next year, which is when I assume this kit would be debuting. It's going to support 5G, so you'd be able to stream your different games anywhere. Full haptic feedback, 1080p front-facing camera, and get this, an 8K HDR camera for the back with 18-bit color. Seems like overkill to me, but I guess they figured, hey, why not? And it will be advertised as a streaming handheld console, so think of Game Pass, Luna, Stadia, anything like that. It'll at least have the controls set up, because if you have a cell phone and then you start attaching things to it, whether it's like the Razer Kishi or the backbone for the iPhone, it does become much larger. So I guess if you're someone who's traveling around and you want to have your own dedicated streaming device, this would be it. However, that said, looking at everything that is going to go into this system, I question how much it's going to cost, because you immediately see things like that screen, 120 hertz OLED display, then you look over, it's going to have 5G support, and then it's also going to have an 8K camera on the back. Are we talking like a $400, $500, $600 device? Because one, the way it looks, that could be a concept picture, like, oh, here's just a very generic looking handheld that you could create using this technology. And we're also going to partner with Razer to make a really cool looking Razer Blade-like handheld, I guess. But you'd want it to look a bit more upscale if it really is that kind of pricing. If it's cheaper, if it's like sub 200 and it is designed as a game streaming platform with some native support for Android apps and games, I think that would go over much better. But it's Razer. Their stuff tends to be a bit more expensive. I also assume there'll be RGB all over the thing, or at least in a couple of spots. So we'll find out, I think, in the next couple of weeks more about this device, as I feel like they'd want to unveil it during the holiday period, so throughout this month since the slides are already getting out there, and then look towards a 2022 release for it. So we'll keep our eyes out for it. Next up, let's talk about the new PlayStation Plus games for the month of December. And we had talked about how it got out there a bit early through some leaked screenshots. Well, we were kind of right. Let's take a look at this image that they have over on PlayStation Blog, just kind of outlining all of the games. We do have Godfall, but this is Godfall Challenger Edition. A bit more on that in a second here. And then we also have the DC Supervillains, so it's pretty cool. And then Mortal Shell. Those would be your PS4 titles, whereas Godfall Challenger Edition is your PS5/PS4 title. These will be live starting December 7th, running all the way until January 3rd. Now, DC Supervillains and Mortal Shell, those are pretty straightforward. Godfall Challenger Edition, this is new, and it's not at all what you may be expecting. Like, you might look at this and say, okay, Godfall Challenger Edition must be some new thing they're doing where you get Godfall and then some additional content. Oh, cool. They're also dropping it in the PlayStation Plus. Not quite. They say on the PlayStation Blog, the Challenger Edition focuses on 3 unique modes: Lightbringer, Dreamstones, and the Ascended Tower of Trials. All 3 are endgame level content, but you'll be immediately equipped with a spread of deadly weapons and skill points, letting you team up with up to 2 other players in co-op. Perfect your build and smash your enemies. Challenger Edition's endgame co-op is compatible with all upgraded editions of Godfall and supports cross-gen play. Now, if you would like, you can upgrade at any time to the Deluxe Edition, gaining access to both Godfall and Fire and Darkness campaigns. That's right. The story mode is not included here. This is very weird. So instead of giving you the game, they're giving you the endgame content with a set number of challenges, and they're just apparently immediately leveling you to endgame level 50, and you get equipments, and yeah, I don't really get it either. It's very weird because, like, Godfall didn't exactly have the best reception, and since then it hasn't appeared to have gotten much better with gamers. People still look at that and say, yeah, I'm all right on Godfall. I'll wait till it gets really cheap. This is a good shot for them to at least get it out there a bit more, and instead they're providing everyone with a demo of the end of the game. To me, that's them saying, look, the story, you don't want to play that. You want to play the end game when you get to level 50 and all the weapons and the cool stuff going on, the skills exploding everywhere. You don't do that boring story mode, unless you want to upgrade to the Digital Deluxe Edition, in which case, yeah, you can go do that boring story stuff. Just a strange announcement here all the way around that Sony would decide to do this with PlayStation Plus as their big headline game, and then Godfall. Like, just put it into PlayStation Plus. I feel like most people who wanted Godfall already bought it. This should have been something you just put out there as basically a demo, but even then, I don't know if I would just teleport people to the end game immediately, because then why would they want to start all over at level 1 and then go through the grind of the story mode? Next up, let's talk about Game Pass games that will be added for the month of December, at least the first half of December. A lot of times they'll do an announcement at the beginning of the month, and then midway through the month, they'll add on more games. And so far, it's looking pretty good for December. We'll head over here. They have a nice little picture showing off all of the titles, and we'll go over the dates and platforms they'll be heading to. Starting with December 2nd, we have Anvil, that's console and PC. We have Arcvale, that's cloud, console, and PC. Final Fantasy 13-2, that's console and PC. I wasn't the biggest fan of 13's like sequels there that they did, but nonetheless, it's being thrown into Game Pass. If you missed it, might be worth checking out. Lawn Mowing Simulator, that's cloud, console, and PC. Rubber Bandits, cloud, console, and PC. Stardew Valley, that is a really cool game to have thrown into Game Pass, especially if you've been curious about it. I mean, it's a cheaper game, but still, this is something that someone may have heard of and then just realized, oh, it's in Game Pass, I'll go ahead and try that one out. Certainly worth, though, a download. Warhammer 40K, that's Battle Sector, cloud, console, and PC. Moving up to December 7th, Space Warlord, Oregon Trading Simulator, that's cloud, console, and PC. And then, of course, moving to December 8th, Halo Infinite. So you can go ahead and play the campaign right away, December 8th, cloud, console, and PC. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm excited based on the previews. It sounds like the campaign itself is good. I mean, we gotta see reviews, but at the very least, it's something you download and then try it out. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, that'll be December 9th, cloud, console, and PC. And then Aliens Fireteam Elite on December 14th, cloud, console, and PC. That's actually pretty cool. This is one I kind of passed on a bit just because it got so crowded. However, I might check it out here on Game Pass. I know Evan played quite a bit of it and did enjoy his time. And then we also have Among Us next to it on December 14th, that being on console. Now, if you are someone who's playing the Halo Infinite multiplayer right now, they do have a bundle going into Game Pass on December 8th that you can take advantage of here with an AR coding as well as some experience boosters. They also go over the different games leaving December 15th, that being Beholder, cloud, console, and PC. The Dark Pictures, Man of Medan, that being console and PC. Guacamelee 2, cloud, console, and PC. Wilmo's Warehouse, cloud, console, and PC. Unto the End, cloud, console, and PC. And then Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, cloud, console, and PC. So overall, pretty good start to December. I'm going to be checking out Aliens and Stardew Valley. You got to give that one a download, right? But otherwise, I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite, and I expect to be playing it quite a bit throughout this month, especially with the campaign, but then also jumping over into multiplayer as they hopefully have more events set up as we go along. So make sure you check out all of the games here and see if there's any you're going to be trying out throughout the month. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a new GameCube controller that has absolutely exploded onto the scene, that being the Panda controller, and it went live on Kickstarter. It immediately crossed its goal of over $100,000. In fact, if you take a look at it now, it continues to tick up, but is already north of $500,000 with over 4,100 backers, and it still has over at least 29 days to go, give or take. You can see some of the video that they put out here for this controller, and there was a lot going into this, but the idea is it's a high-quality, competitive-level GameCube controller, and this is great, obviously, because the tournament scene in Smash, the highly competitive scene, is massive, so you figure there's a large market for a higher quality, fully featured GameCube controller, and they have a lot of stuff going on here. They have a Panda stick box, additional buttons, you can see that on the back there, custom length triggers, a tactile D-pad, which that sounds like a massive upgrade over what we have on the GameCube controller. It even looks a bit larger, smooth button presses, and it looks like the front can be changed out with different magnetic faceplates or shells. And they also have at the top USB-C. Now, you can plug this in through USB-C to USB, or of course you can run it to a GameCube itself with a USB-C to GameCube cable. And they have expansion packs on the back, which includes things like a wireless pack that would let you connect to different systems like the Switch or PC. They even have custom weight packs. So if you want, you can weigh down the controller a bit more, or you can make it lighter. You can also incorporate rumble if you want. There's so much to just customize here. It's no wonder this absolutely exploded. They currently have it set at $90 to get the controller and be part of the Kickstarter, and they are looking to deliver at the end of next year. They have it set as December 2022. And typically I'm a bit more careful about covering Kickstarters, but this crossed its goal immediately, so they're going to be raising millions of dollars, I'm sure, through this, just based on how fast it's accelerating with its funding. And I think it's really cool. Look, of course, I want a high-quality GameCube controller, and I'm not going to be getting it to be playing Smash, like, competitively, but I mean, this looks like the best controller you can use on your GameCube, at least from what they're describing. I will be getting this, and of course, we'll be doing an entire video going over this controller to see if it truly is the best GameCube controller you can get, even over the Wavebird, which is still my favorite controller to use now on an actual GameCube when I'm playing all these different games through HDMI. So I guess we'll look forward to this time next year when we hope to see these start to ship out. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a little poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked which of these Nintendo systems had the best controller. Look at that. 63% said the GameCube. That is the correct answer. The Super Nintendo controller is really, really good though. Like, you can't discount just the form factor, the D-pad, the button layout, and those shoulder buttons. A lot of good stuff there for the Super Nintendo controller. But I mean, the Wii U, 7% there with that gamepad, 7% for the Nintendo 64, which is a little shocking, I'll admit, because a lot of people really dislike that N64 controller. And then the Wii at 5%. You know what? I think the Wii with that Wii remote is very underrated because it was such a risk for Nintendo to go in that direction, but I actually think the Wii remote is pretty good overall with the ergonomics and the simplicity that it did introduce for people who don't necessarily play games all the time, but that also did then make the best-selling game basically bowling. Like, I know it's Wii Sports, but look, everyone was playing Wii Bowling at the time. A really fun game, but then you have stuff like Skyward Sword come out and kind of underperforms on that platform. But either way, the GameCube, that is the right answer. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from GM saying, well, there's definitely $119,000 worth of people who want that accessory, so there's at least some demand and curiosity for it. And I was going through the comments yesterday in the video, just looking for people who liked the idea of this very large screen they would be hauling around. And I think there were a lot of people who liked the idea of just a larger screen because of poor eyesight, for example. And that makes a lot of sense. I think there could be a future where Nintendo realizes that they could do a Switch XL or whatever they do with their next-gen system. We assume it's going to be a hybrid concept like we have now with the Switch because it's worked so well, so why get away from that? I know it's Nintendo and they like to Nintendo, but even this seems like too much of a layup for them to miss. So yeah, I think we could get to a point where Nintendo realizes, oh, we could do a 9 or 10-inch screen and have it make sense so it could fit in the dock and it looks good aesthetically and ergonomics and all that with Joy-Cons on the side. But yeah, that actually is a good reason, I think, for having a larger screen if maybe the current 7-inch screen, even on that OLED, just doesn't quite cut it when it comes to text on screen, for example. And ladies and gentlemen, that's good to hear for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike, leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Was that Razer handheld? Are you interested in it? And how much do you think it's gonna cost? Then also, what about PlayStation Plus games, specifically Godfall Challenger Edition for the month of December? And are you picking up that Panda GameCube controller? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.